Chuuka didn't die at war. He died in the hands of another woman who isn't his wife, but his side chick. One stab and it was over. His pregnant wife, Amara, saw the Helix arrive, but not with her husband, but with his dead body. What really happened? Why did she kill him? It was a quiet evening in Enugu. The sky looked dull, and light rain tapped gently on the roof, making a soft sound that filled the house. The air was cool, and everything felt calm. Amara sat on the couch, her feet swollen and her big belly resting under her Ankara gown. She rubbed her stomach slowly and smiled. "Your daddy is coming soon," she whispered to her baby. It had been almost 3 months since she last saw her husband. At first, everything felt okay, until his work took him far away. Chuuka was a captain in the army, posted in Maiduguri. Amara understood his job was important, but that didn't stop her from feeling lonely. She missed him every day. She missed their little talks, the way they laughed at night before sleeping. She missed just knowing he was close by. Now, the house felt too quiet. Sometimes, she would play his old voice notes just to hear his voice again. Amara kept a journal and wrote in it often, especially when she couldn't sleep at night. "You promised forever," she had written last night. "But forever feels too quiet without you in it." As the rain continued to fall, Amara sat still on the couch, reminiscing on the past. Miles away in the dry, restless heat of Maiduguri, Chuuka sat on the edge of a small bed in a 2-room flat that smelled of coconut oil fragrance and pepper soup. His boots were dusty, his face looked tired from hours of patrol and tension. This wasn't home, but it felt easier. Sandra moved around the kitchen, laughing loudly at something on her phone. Her world was louder, warmer, funny. And sometimes, Chuuka needed those vibes. It distracted him from the war, from the guilt, from the silence of his wife's voice on the phone. He hadn't planned to get close, but he kept coming back. Tonight, as he tied his boots to leave, Sandra stepped in front of the door. "So, that's it?" she asked, her smile gone. "You just come, eat, sleep, and rush back to your sweet little wife?" Chuuka rubbed the back of his neck. "Sandra, don't make this a big deal." "But it is a big deal," she snapped. "Your wife is pregnant, Chuuka. And you're here with me." He stayed quiet. His lips tightened. Guilt pressed on his chest like a stone. "You can't live 2 lives forever," Sandra said softly. "One day, it will crash down." Her eyes searched his, but he looked away. Back in Enugu, the rain had stopped. Amara stood by the window, holding her belly as the baby moved gently. The night felt colder than usual. Her heart felt heavier too, but she couldn't explain why. She had always believed that love was enough, that her husband would always choose home, family, her. But lately something has changed. The phone calls became shorter. Chuuka's voice that was once full of warmth now sounded cold, tired and distracted, like he was there but not really there. When she asked if everything was okay, he'd give short answers. "I'm fine, Amara. I'm just tired." Not too long, then the strange messages started coming, messages from numbers she didn't recognize. "He's not yours alone. You should be worried." At first, she told herself it was a mistake. Maybe someone sent it to the wrong number. Maybe it was just a prank. But something inside her didn't believe that. Something felt off. Then came a phone call. It was late, past 10 p.m. She was about to sleep when the phone rang. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. "Hello." There was silence for a moment. Then a woman's voice came through. It was calm, cold and sharp like a razor blade. "Enjoy your pregnancy while it lasts. He belongs here." Amara froze. Her hand trembled as the phone slid from her ear. Her mouth went dry. Her heart raced. She dropped the phone on the floor and broke into tears, hugging her stomach like she could protect her baby from something she couldn't see. Who was she? What did she mean, while it lasts? Fear crept in slowly, like smoke through a crack in the wall. She tried to call Chuuka, but his line was busy. Again and again. Was he with her? The questions kept spinning in her head, too fast to catch. She didn't sleep that night. She sat by the window till morning, holding her stomach, eyes wide open, heart pounding in her chest. Outside, a dog barked in the distance. Somewhere down the street, a car alarm went off and stopped. But inside her house, everything was still, except the fear growing in the room with her. Something wasn't right. And deep down, Amara knew her life was about to change. Morning came slowly. Amara hadn't slept. Her eyes were swollen, her body tired, but her mind was wide awake. She kept staring at her phone, waiting, hoping, and fearing. Then, around 7:30 a.m., her phone rang. It was Chiuka. Her fingers shook as she picked it up. She didn't say hello. She didn't ask how he was. She was done pretending. Who is she? She asked, her voice calm but cold. There was a pause, long and heavy. She's been calling me, messaging me, and telling me you belong to her. You lied, Chiuka. He sighed. The line went quiet again, but she could hear his breath. I didn't mean for this to happen, he said, finally breaking the silence. His voice was low, almost like a whisper. It was a mistake. Amara closed her eyes. A tear rolled down her cheek. A mistake? Then end it, she said, or don't call me again. There was pain in her voice. She ended the call before he could reply. Her heart raced. She felt like she was standing on the edge of something about to fall, something deep. She wanted to scream, but she stayed still. The baby moved again, as if feeling her pain. She sat down slowly and stared at the wall. What kind of woman threatens a pregnant wife? She asked herself, and what kind of man allows it? The next few days were quiet but not peaceful. She didn't hear from Chiuka. Not a single call, and the silence was worse than the shouting she imagined. 3 days later, a small package arrived at her doorstep. No name, no note. Just a brown envelope. Amara opened the envelope and froze like she has been shocked by electric current. Inside the envelope was a photo with Chiuka and another woman, sitting close together. His arm around her shoulder, her head resting against him. Too comfortable, too familiar. And below it, written in red ink, "Still think you're the only one?" Her stomach tightened. The room spun slightly. She clutched the arm of the chair and lowered herself to the floor, trying to breathe. Her mind screamed, but her lips stayed shut. Why send this to me? Who is she? What does she want? She tried calling Chiuka again. First time, no answer. Second time, switched off. Was he avoiding her now? Amara stood alone, staring at the photo in silence. That night, she couldn't sleep. Her phone stayed beside her, screen lit every few minutes from nervous checking. Still no call. By the second day, she had gone from heartbreak to quiet anger. She began searching. She looked through Chiuka's old messages, his social media pages, and any clue that could point to the woman's identity. She remembered a name once mentioned casually, Sandra, a work friend in Maiduguri. Now, that name felt like a splinter in her chest. She sent Chiuka one final message. If you don't talk to me now, I will do something stupid that you won't like. Chiuka sat quietly in the barracks, staring at his phone without saying a word. His heart skipped a beat as he read the message his wife had just sent. His mind was torn between fear, guilt, and confusion. He never imagined it would go this far. But things were already out of control. He hadn't sent the picture. Sandra had. He picked up his phone and typed, "Amara, I'm sorry. I didn't know she would contact you. I'll fix this. Just, please don't stress too much, and don't do anything I beg of you." But when he hit send, it didn't go through. She had blocked him. Chiuka drove through the dusty streets of Maiduguri like a man on fire. His hands gripped the steering wheel, his mind clouded with anger and regret. Sweat rolled down his back. He hadn't slept properly in days. His wife was hurting, his unborn child at risk, and the woman who caused it all, Sandra, was acting like she owned him. He parked roughly in front of her flat and jumped out of the car, slamming the door. His heart was racing. He didn't knock gently. He banged the door loud and hard. Sandra opened it slowly, leaning on the doorframe with a smug look on her face. Finally, she said, like she had been waiting. Chuka pushed past her, storming into the living room. You've gone too far, Sandra. She folded her arms. I told you to choose. You didn't. So I did what I had to. I have a wife, he snapped. She's pregnant. She's done nothing to deserve this. Sandra's face twisted. I gave you peace, Chuka. When work drained you, I was here. When you needed comfort, food, and someone to talk to, I was here. And now what? I'm nothing to you. I never promised more than this, he shouted, his voice shaking. You knew what this was from the start. Her chest rose and fell quickly. Her eyes glistened, not with tears, but rage. Silent. Heavy. Then, suddenly, she turned and stormed into the kitchen. Sandra. Chuka called. What are you doing? Come back here. No answer. Seconds later, she came back out, holding a kitchen knife. Chuka froze. Sandra, he said slowly, don't do this. Please. Her hand trembled, but her eyes burned with something dangerous. You think you can use me, play with my heart, and just walk away? She screamed. I gave you everything. Everything. Chuka raised both hands, stepping back carefully. Listen to me. You need to calm down. We can talk about this. Put the knife down. But it was too late. The pain had taken over. Her face twisted into something he didn't recognize. Broken, angry, wild. With one scream, she lunged forward. He moved, too slow. The knife sank into his neck. His eyes widened in shock. A choked gasp escaped his lips. He stumbled back, clutching the wound as blood gushed between his fingers. Oh God, he whispered. His knees buckled. He crashed to the floor, struggling to breathe. Blood pooled beneath him, soaking into the rug. Sandra stood frozen. The knife slipped from her hand and hit the tiles with a loud clang. Chuka, she whispered, her voice cracking. No, no, no. She dropped to her knees beside him, shaking him, crying, but he didn't respond. His eyes were open, staring, empty. She had crossed the line, and there was no turning back now. The scream came first. It was sharp, loud, and full of panic. It cut through the afternoon air like a blade. Somebody help me. Please. Somebody help. It was Sandra's voice, shaking with terror. Neighbors rushed to her flat. The door was open, the air inside thick with a metallic smell of blood. Something was wrong, very wrong. They stepped in slowly. And there, on the floor, was Chuka, his uniform shirt soaked in red, his body limp, eyes wide, staring at nothing. Jesus, a man muttered. Sandra knelt beside him, covered in blood, shaking, her voice barely holding together. He's not breathing. I didn't mean to. Please, help me, please. She tried to lift him, but his body was heavy, motionless. One of the neighbors, a retired nurse, pushed forward and knelt beside Chuka. She touched his neck, then looked up slowly, her face pale. He's still alive, but weak. He's losing too much blood. Panic broke out. Someone at Sandra. What did you do? Are you mad? She didn't respond. She just rocked back and forth, whispering his name. Chuka? Chuka, please don't die, please. A neighbor grabbed a wrapper and pressed it against the wound on his neck, trying to stop the bleeding. Blood soaked through almost immediately. Chuka's breathing was shallow. His lips had turned pale. Sandra looked around like a trapped animal, her hands shaking, blood smeared across her face and dress. I didn't mean to, he made me feel used. But no one was listening. Someone pulled out a phone and called a soldier. Captain Chuka was now lying in his own blood, fighting for his life, and nobody knew if help would come in time. The compound was still a mess of noise and panic when the sound of a military vehicle roared in from the main road. A dark green Helix screeched to a stop at the gate. 2 armed soldiers jumped out and rushed to him. Captain Chuka, can you hear me? Sandra backed into a corner, shaking. The other soldiers noticed her. Blood on her dress, the knife on the floor, fear in her eyes. Is this the one that did it? Another soldier shouted. No one answered, but the look on Sandra's face gave her away. Get her up. 2 of them grabbed her roughly. She screamed and tried to pull free. It was a mistake. I didn't mean to. Please, he was leaving me. I just wanted to talk. A hard slap silenced her. You wanted to talk with a knife? One soldier growled, dragging her outside. The crowd outside grew. People whispered, others shouted. She stabbed a soldier? Nah, Officer Wayday, protect this country. She don't finish. Inside, the remaining soldiers lifted Chiuka gently. One of them tore off his shirt and used it to press against the bleeding wound. We need to move now. Another soldier spoke into a radio. We have a man down. Repeat, officer down. Requesting immediate backup at Bellows compound. Wound to the neck. Suspect in custody. As they carried Chiuka out, the compound fell silent again. Neighbors stood with hands on their heads, watching. Sandra was shoved into the back of the helix, her face bruised, hands tied behind her. She didn't fight anymore. Chiuka was placed carefully on a blanket in the back of the truck. Blood still flowed, but he was alive for now. The engine roared. Dust flew, and in seconds, they were gone, leaving behind a compound full of stunned faces, blood on the floor, and questions no one wanted to answer out loud. It has been 4 days since Amara last heard from Chiuka. No calls, no texts, just silence. Then her phone rang. Unknown number. Her heart skipped. Hello. A pause. Good evening, Ma. Am I speaking with Mrs. Chiuka? Yes, who is this? I'm Sergeant Bala from the Maiduguri base. Her chest tightened. What happened? Is Chiuka okay? His voice lowered. I'm very sorry, Ma. Captain Chiuka passed away this afternoon. Time froze. No, that's not possible. Her voice cracked. He came in with a severe neck injury. We tried, but he lost too much blood. Her knees gave out. She dropped to the floor, sobbing. No, he just texted me. He was fine. The phone slipped from her hand. She clutched her belly, shaking. Mouth open. No sound. Just grief. Gone? Just like that? Her cry filled the room, raw, broken, and endless. Mama Amanda banged on the door. Amar, what is it? Open up. No response. She pushed the door open and froze. Amara was on the floor, gripping her belly, eyes wide, face drenched in sweat and tears. Blood of Jesus, Mama Amanda whispered. Amara turned slowly. He's gone, Mama. She killed my husband. Then came the cry, sharp from deep inside. My stomach, something is wrong. Water pooled beneath her. Mama Amanda knelt beside her. Jesus, your water has broken. You're in labor. Amara cried out again, body shaking. I can't do this alone, Mama. You're not alone, Mama Amanda said firmly, wiping her tears. Another neighbor rushed in with car keys. They lifted Amara gently, her screams louder with every step. She was holding on to life, to pain, and to the last piece of Chiuka she still carried. The drive to the hospital was a blur. Amara drifted in and out of consciousness, Mama Amanda holding her tightly in the back seat, whispering shaky prayers as the car arrives in the hospital. Few moments later, a cry of a baby girl came echoing. Amara didn't open her eyes right away. But when she did, a nurse stood beside her, smiling. Your baby's here. She's safe. They placed the child in her arms. She held her close and whispered, Nkemdalim, what is mine, stays with me. A few days later, the coffin came home. It was a quiet, cloudy morning. Then, the sound of boots echoed down the street. Soldiers marched in. Crowds gathered. The coffin was placed gently at the front of the house. A trumpet played. Salutes followed. 2 women sat beside Amara, silently holding her as she cradled her baby, her eyes full of tears and sorrow. As the soldiers marched away and the crowd slowly thinned, Amara remained seated. Her baby slept quietly in her arms, unaware of the world she had entered, a world that had already taken so much from her. Amara looked down at the tiny face wrapped against her chest. She whispered again, Nkemdalim, what is mine, stays with me. And as the clouds parted above her, Just for a moment, the world was still. Love is not always perfect. Sometimes it's broken. Sometimes it hurts. But from pain comes strength. Amara lost the man she loved, not to war, but to his bad choices.